Hey guys, welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andrew Seegers, and this time we're joined by Ash Paulson and Trailer Drake from the Game Theorist to discuss some interesting news found within the files of Super Smash Bros. Wii U. So let's get started. Alright guys, so some news came out recently about someone who was digging through the files of Super Smash Bros. Wii U, specifically from Source Gaming, from the website Source Gaming, and they found some pretty curious things in there that hinted at content that never came to be, or maybe could be at some point, but hasn't happened yet. So first off, let's discuss the one that's perhaps the thing that's going to crush Ash the most, is that there appears to be some evidence of a Rhythm Heaven character, in that they found a file icon, or rather a file name for what would have been an icon. The icon itself isn't there, for a character from the Rhythm Heaven series. So that very well could have been the Chorus Kids, as we had talked about many times before in past discussions. So I guess, Ash, let's of course start off with your thoughts on this probably tragedy for you.
I've kind of actually made my peace with it. I mean, it sucks, and of course I wanted any Rhythm Heaven character content in the game, a character or stage, but, ever since the whole Gamatsu leaks happened, and the Chorus Kids and Chrom were listed as being in the game, and then, of course, that didn't come to pass, I had kind of figured that they were in the game at some point and just got cut, seemingly like Chrom as well. So it really, it does, it's sad, and it really breaks my heart, but I got the one character I really wanted more than anything, which was Mega Man, so I can't complain too much. And beyond that, there's always a chance they could still be worked on as DLC. My guess and kind of my instinct is that they're not. I just think they were cut mid-development and that's it. But, there's always a chance, and maybe we'll get a Rhythm Heaven stage at least. That would be nice.
I personally just love the Rhythm Heaven series so much, so I'm definitely in the same vein as where I really wish that we would have gotten Rhythm Heaven something, whether it be a character, a stage, hell, I'd even settle for an assist trophy. I still find it really weird that the Chorus Kids are what was planned to be done if we're going off of that speculation, because I really felt like, the karate guy that is punching all the bombs in the pots would have been a better fit, but also the Chorus Kids could work for the overall zany factor that we have from Smash Brothers. But I am extremely upset because any new character that isn't, just a clone, I'm all for. But also, I love Rhythm Heaven, it doesn't get enough love, and sometimes it just feels like Nintendo forgets that that's a franchise that people actually care about.
Yeah.
It is weird, especially, though, with the fact that they just announced another one, at least in Japan, for the 3DS at some point in the future. So you would think having some kind of Smash Bros. Tie-in, so you'd think that would have made sense.
I mean, hell, Roy appeared in Melee before the game even came out in Japan.
That's right.
Yeah, I prefer not to think about the possibility of Rhythm Heaven 3DS not coming here. It really worries me that it was announced in the Japanese Direct and not the US or European Directs, so I don't know. It just doesn't seem like Rhythm Heaven gets a lot of love in the West, which, could very well be due to the fact that Rhythm Heaven and Rhythm Heaven Fever did not sell well outside of Japan, as far as I understand. So, I blame all of you out there who didn't buy those games, but it is secretly one of Nintendo's best series.
But I do think, the localizations of those games has tended to lag behind quite a bit from the Japanese ones.
Sure, that's true.
So it could just be that, it will just be another delayed release. But they do have to translate, like, a lot of those songs, for instance. Yeah. And Nintendo did a really good job with the Wii one, so I do hope that they do translate this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. It would be awesome if they do a DLC character. I would be very surprised if they don't experiment more with that, with Smash Brothers being one of their biggest franchises, with perhaps selling a character, just because it seems like it'd be something they'd want to test out, see, if it's viable.
Going back to what I was talking about with Roy and how he didn't appear, he appeared in Smash Brothers before he appeared in any actual game in the Fire Emblem series. Martha and Roy's appearance is what got Fire Emblem over here in the first place and became a huge franchise. I mean, they brought a bunch of Fire Emblem games over, and so just having a Rhythm Heaven character, I really do think would sell that franchise to a Western audience, get them more exposed to it, and make them want to buy more. That just seems like a wasted business opportunity to me.
Well, and the complete lack of any Rhythm Heaven content in Smash is just so strange, because as I understand it, Sakurai is personally a big fan of that series, and it seems so strange not to represent that series at all outside of a couple of trophies. I mean, I was completely expecting at least a stage, if not a character. And I don't know, maybe they're holding that content back for some cross-promotional DLC, when Rhythm Heaven 3DS comes out. But I don't know, it's really strange. The whole thing is very suspicious. You'd think that there would be some sort of representation in Smash.
Yeah, so, you know, I think we all agree unfortunately it's not there, but there is potential in the future maybe, or maybe the next Smash Brothers, who knows. But for me, the thing that I'm actually most disappointed by now, but I also kind of made my peace with Rhythm Heaven, is this next file, or these next files that this person found, which are textures for the viruses from Dr. Mario. And apparently it came with icons, or these might be the icons rather, for like a boss character along the lines of like Ridley or Metalface. So like when you KO them, you know, you get like that stock icon for KOing that character. That's how. So it seems like these guys are basically planned to be a boss character in this game. What could have been a Dr. Mario stage, and you know, I like Dr. Mario. I love Dr. Mario, and so this kind of tears me up a little bit. If there actually had been a stage based on that game, I feel like it would have been kind of awesome.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I love Dr. Mario as well. Now, would it be something like Tetris, where you have the pills falling from the heavens, or would it be, you know, a little bit more of like a doctor's office? Who knows?
So, I mean, that's a good one. I was wondering what they could do with this, and of course, your natural inclination is it takes place, you know, on the playing field itself, like with a bunch of dropping pills. But they could combine it with your idea too. Maybe you're playing inside a glass bottle with the pills dropping, with the doctor office in the background.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking of the living room stage in the 3DS version, with the blocks kind of suddenly falling down from above.
Yeah.
And, maybe it could work a little bit like that. And I
or
agree.
maybe that was influenced by it.
Yeah, and it would be a shame if there was a Dr. Mario stage with the virus boss and we lost it. Although I wonder if it could have something to do with the fact that the stages in the Wii U version, at least, are already so heavily weighted toward the Mario series. Like, Mario has so many more stages than any other franchise, which to a point is understandable, but there are a ton of Mario stages in Smash Wii U, so I'm wondering if that could have something to do with it.
Well, and I guess if they were a boss, like, how would they function exactly? Because, you know, they do have their own names, being
Fever, Chill, and Weird.
Exactly, and so you can almost imagine like what kind of status effects they might have. You know, Chill obviously being like a freeze type thing. Weird could be. I'm instantly imagining like Luigi's Final Smash from Brawl, like where it just does something weird, does some status effect changes, and who knows what Fever could do, but.
Well, I'd imagine that Fever would inflict somebody with like the spicy curry status, where they're constantly breathing fire, and then maybe Weird would be something, you know, more like Luigi's Final Smash from Brawl, where it puts a different effect. Maybe it would flip your entire your walking mechanism. Like you go right to go left and left to go right. Maybe that could like mess with your button schemes or something different. Maybe you could add lipsticks flour and drains your HP slowly.
Yeah, Tingle does that too, so it could be almost like a Tingle effect. Yeah.
Oh, the Tingle effect.
Coming soon.
It's not an effect anyone wants.
That sounds like a horror movie or something.
It really does.
Kono Limpa.
Alright, yeah, so, you know, maybe, again, that could hint a potential future from Dr. Mario DLC. Like, anything that has to do with that game, I am totally on board with. Especially, like, I'm happy we can just talk about it, because that means I can put the awesome Dr. Mario music, originally from Smash Bros. Melee, into this song, or into this discussion, because that track is amazing.
Yeah.
Alright, now, something else that was found here were 4 more series icons that aren't actually in the game itself. Now, again, these are just the file names. The icons themselves aren't, as far as we know, aren't in the game. But the names are Plankton, Rhythm, Brain Training, and Diary. Now, Plankton is probably Electroplankton, and some people have theorized that relates to the stage from Smash Bros. Brawl, hinting that perhaps that stage could come back at some point. Then there's Rhythm, there's Rhythm, which means Rhythm Heaven probably, which, you know, could tie into the character we were just talking about, or maybe a stage as well. Then there's Brain Training, that's self-explanatory, could be a stage, probably a stage more than a character. And then there's Diary, which at first is like, what is that? But some people found out that apparently Swapnote is known as Diary in Japan, so it likely could hint at a Swapnote stage. So do you guys have any thoughts about any of this, like how those stages could play, or what any of that could mean?
I think that the Swapnote thing could have, I think it could have happened, you know, the service got canceled, and I think that we're not going to see a return of that concept, but I think it might have been planned at some point down the line, where Nintendo was really trying to push this new product. But
yeah, I agree.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think Swapnote was probably, if there was a Swapnote stage, I think it was removed at around the same time the Swapnote service was discontinued because people were using it to send dick pics to one another. So, yeah, I mean, I think they probably wanted nothing to do with that in Smash or anything. They really wanted to distance themselves from that, and I can see why. Right. As for the Electroplankton thing, you know, if Hanenbow was ever intended to return, I'm glad it didn't, because is anyone like that stage, honestly?
I like that stage.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, because Electroplankton is such a really cool, unique little game.
It is, that's true.
Totally agree.
I think they captured the feel of Electroplankton in Hanenbow, whatever you want to call it.
Also true.
I think they captured it really well. And for me, Smash Brothers isn't just about the gameplay and about, you know, how you physically feel playing it, because not every stage is a good stage. In fact, a lot of stages aren't good stages.
Yeah, like the Electroplankton one.
Partly my job is on Game Theory is to talk about the characters' movesets and the stage origins, and so I just like that Nintendo will take everything at their disposal and will try to give as much love to it as they possibly can, obviously except for Rhythm Heaven. But yeah. With Electroplankton, they really represented the game well. It didn't turn out to be too fun to play, but I like the concept. I like the fact that Nintendo didn't forget the game existed, and we at least got it the one time.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I know Andre and I both, we're the, you know, the furthest from the, you know, kind of Final Destination, no items type players you could ever find. But even so, there are some stages like Hanenbow or like Rumble Falls from Brawl that I just never ever wanted to play. Even though I wanted to play like stuff like Spear Pillar. But yeah, there were just some stages I just can't. Yeah, I can't. In Hanenbow, I just never really enjoyed that much.
I never got into Rumble Falls. Oh god.
Rumble Falls is god awful. I think the levels I don't like in general, which aren't that many really, are the ones that that skew the emphasis a little bit too much toward the platforming of the game versus fighting. And Rumble Falls is just really all about the platforming, just trying not to die by going off screen.
And same with Hanenbow.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's why
I never know how to pronounce that.
But that's why I didn't even attempt to. But I mean, with that said, I totally agree with you. Like, you know, they did a good job capturing the essence of that stage or that game. And it looks cool. It just didn't mesh well for me with the gameplay of Smash Brothers. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have minded coming back at all. It just means I would probably ignore it much of the time. So do you get any final thoughts on any of this or anything? Yeah, anything we didn't bring up at all that you'd like to mention?
I'd like to see things come as DLC, or at least have a little bit more information about them through more digging.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, I just, you know, we still, Mum's kind of the word on DLC plans for Smash Brothers beyond Mewtwo and the Miiverse stage and in the tournament mode. So I'm hoping there are additional, you know, DLC characters and stages planned, kind of like we got with Mario Kart 8. I'm just hoping that we're kind of just waiting now. We're kind of in a period of radio silence, and that maybe toward E3 this year, we'll, you know, get some major news about, you know, major DLC release plans for Smash Brothers. Ash,
you mentioned Mewtwo, and I'm really glad you did, because this is very similar to what we saw in Brawl whenever we saw the character data incomplete inside of the Brawl disc. We saw, you know, the Forbidden Four, I believe they're called, with Plusle and Minun, Toon Sheik, Toon Zelda, Roy, and Mewtwo. Mewtwo came back as DLC. And in the Brawl data, we had audio from his Final Smash, and we had, you know, a little bit more information. So Mewtwo came back from Final Smash from this fragmented data that we've seen in Brawl. Potentially, we could see this kind of data evolve in some way, shape, or form as DLC or as potential next Smash Bros. Content.
That is a good point, because this, you know, if you go back through like Nintendo's history, like people have found tons of files that have gone unused during a game's development. And what's cool about having DLC now is it allows them, you know, they weren't able to finish it in time for the game's release, but it means they could still make use of those assets they've already created or the work they've already done and release it as future content. So I actually do hope that, you know, we do see that, assuming it wasn't abandoned based on the fact that it just didn't work. But if they can get it to work, like I would love to see a Dr. Mario stage or see what plans they had for some of that other content, you know, that's hinted at here.
Right.
Alright, well I think that wraps up for our discussion here. So Drake, do you want to tell people where they can find you at?
You can find me all over the place. Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook,
GameXplain.
Instagram. Yeah, I'm coming around on GameXplain a lot more, it looks like, because you guys said you didn't hate me, and the fans said they didn't hate me.
I hate you, but...
Oh, well, I hate you more, Ash.
Oh, thank you.
You can find me on Game Theory through Crossover and Smash History. You can find my personal channel, Trailer Drake, talk about video games and other such things. And then there's Comic Drake, where I talk about comic books, and my name is Drake.
Alright. So, thanks for watching, guys. If you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain, which you can find links to in the description below. And of course, keep an eye on GameXplain.com for more on, I'm gonna say Smash Bros. Wii U, but I don't know if that's really the case. But I'm sure at some point we'll have more on it, and other things gaming as well. Alright, thanks, guys. Bye.